6.5 years ago, my life revolved around one thing: work. I was fresh into my career as a corporate lawyer, and it just felt like I had absolutely no time, and work seemed to consume every waking moment. And to be honest, I was miserable. I had no time for friends, family, hobbies, or even myself. But today, everything's different. I'm still a lawyer, but I now have time to spend at least 10 hours a week on YouTube. I exercise at least an hour a day. I sleep at least 8 hours a night. And perhaps most importantly, I have time for the people and things that make me happy. And no, they didn't suddenly become more than 24 hours in the day. But what I have discovered through the consumption of various productivity resources, as well as some trial and error, is a pretty simple 3-step system that I now use to make time for everything that I want to do. And so if you've ever felt like there's not enough time in the day, stick around, because I promise it doesn't have to be like that. Okay, step 1 of the system is to time block in a calendar all of the essential aspects of your life and all of the priority things that you want to do over the course of a week. So essentially, you will time block everything other than just completely free time, which you can leave out. And why is this such a good aspect to do within a system? Well, essentially, when you've got all of these different things that you want to do, it can feel completely overwhelming and you really just don't know where to start. However, if you time block things, it is crystal clear and it gives you that structure and path, and suddenly everything stops feeling quite so overwhelming. So it's really the difference between just walking blindly towards the things that you think you want to do, compared with actually having a map as to how you are going to do all of those things. Okay, so there are essentially 2 steps to this time blocking process. So step 1 is to put into this time blocking calendar all of the absolutely essential, non-negotiable aspects of your life. So the things that you need to be doing for your life just to operate as it should. And for the vast majority of people here, there will be a couple of clear ones that will need to go in and will take up a significant chunk of your day. So number 1 is work, which of course most people are going to be needing to do. And so for me, that is between 9 to around 5:30 every day. So I just block that big chunk out of each day. I also do work in the office a couple of days a week. And so for those days, I also include travel time into the office. So that will usually be about an hour in the morning and then another hour in the evening to get to and from work. That goes in the calendar too. And then the other big thing that everyone, of course, does need to do is sleep. And hopefully you will be trying to get around 7 to 9 hours each day. For me, I try to go to bed around 10:30 to 11 and wake up around 6:30 to 7. So I just block out 10:30 to 7 each day. So those are the 2 big chunks of things that need to go into your time blocking calendar: work and sleep. I also would put in eating times as well here, because again, that's obviously something that you need to be doing. And the whole idea here is to really be putting in all of the essential aspects so that you can then see where the gaps are around those things. And lunch and snacks in the day, that will just get included within work time. But for me, I do then put in dinner. So just about half an hour in the evening. I also block out that time because I know I need to be doing that and I can't really do anything else around that time. And for a lot of people, that might be where you kind of stop in this step 1. But for me, there is one other thing that I do include, and that is exercise. Now, exercise might be something that might come in more in the step 2 of this time blocking process, which I'll come on to. But for me, it is really something that is essential. It's a non-negotiable. I have come to realize that my life is just so much better when I am exercising regularly. I feel more energized, more productive, and I feel happier. So for me, exercise is a non-negotiable. And as I said at the start, I like to do at least an hour a day of exercise. So every day, that exercise chunk is going into my time blocking calendar here. Okay, once you have put all of these non-negotiable, essential aspects into your time blocking calendar, you can move on to step 2. But just by doing this step 1, you can see that a big chunk of your day is already taken up. I mean, when we look to about 8.5 hours for work, 8 hours for sleep, an hour for exercise, half an hour say for dinner, that is already coming in at around 18 hours. And so you can see I've only now got 6 hours to do anything else that I want to do. But that is at least good to understand that and be clear on that amount of time. And so now you move on to step 2. And step 2 is all about putting in your time blocking calendar, time for the things that you really want to achieve. So essentially, the priorities in your life. And of course, that's going to be different for every single person. But I think a good thing to think about here is to try to set yourself some goals. And at times, I think goals can be a little bit overrated, and I do think it's more about the systems that lie underneath the goals in order to achieve them. But here, I do think that goals can give you a real sense of direction of what you want to work towards. So say you might think that over the course of a year, I want to become more proficient in Spanish. And you might then think to yourself, all right, to do that, I do need to spend at least about an hour every single day. And you've identified this is an important goal for me. So I need that hour. If that is the case, then you would put in your time blocking calendar every day 1 hour for Spanish. And as I said, it will be different for every person. So for me, YouTube is the big priority outside of my non-negotiables. I am trying to do about 10 hours a week, at least on YouTube. And so I block that out in my calendar each week. So the key here is to really try to set those goals, figure out what your priorities are, and then you can work backwards from there and understand how much time that you're going to need every day or each week to actually achieve those priority areas in your life. And once you've done that, you can then put them into your time blocking calendar, and it will be clear as to how you're actually going to get to achieving those priorities and goals. A couple of things I would just say in relation to this though, is to firstly, try to make what you're putting in here and into your whole time blocking calendar realistic. Because it's one thing to actually have everything blocked out, but it's another thing to implement all of these things that you put in. And so you do want to make them realistic and achievable. And that again will be different for everyone, because it's not to say some people might decide they want to spend every single minute on the day trying to achieve things, trying to achieve all their goals, and they might be in the mind frame to where that is realistic. But for a lot of people, myself included, that's just not going to be the case. I can't literally just be spending every single second of the day working towards my ambitions and goals. So just try to think to yourself, what is realistic and what do you think is going to actually be achievable? Linked to that is to also, within what you're putting into this time blocking calendar, try to make sure that you do have time and you're putting things in that are gonna actually allow you to be happy and enjoy doing these things. Because again, it will be much easier to implement these things if you actually do enjoy them, or at least have enough in here to enjoy the whole process and the journey towards achieving what you're trying to do. A final thing that I would just say here is that some people might just think this all sounds a little bit tedious. So I've literally got to time block every single aspect of my life. I mean, that's living a little bit robotically and probably not really something that everyone wants to do. But just trust me, it really is so effective in terms of being able to then do everything that you want to do. And it does just give you that map and that sense of direction to work towards. Also, once you have done step 1 and step 2, you then actually can see the remaining gaps in your schedule. And it might not be much, but you will see what those gaps are. And then you can actually just use those gaps to guilt-free do whatever else you want to do, or do nothing. You know, that could be the time where you just lie around watching TV, eating pizza. But you can do that guilt-free because you know that you have got the time to do everything else that you want to do. So just trust me, time blocking really is the way to go to achieve your goals and then also have time to actually switch off and relax. Hey guys, quick one. If you're enjoying this video, please do give it a like, and it'd be great if you subscribe to the channel. Okay, so once you have fully completed step 1 and got your time blocking calendar in place with all of the essential aspects of your life and the priority areas, you move on to step 2. Which might sound a little bit simple, but it is just the implementation of all of these things that you said you were going to do. And that might be a bit like, okay, I've actually now got to do these things. But that can be easier said than done, because it's all good to have this lovely map and this all beautiful structure of everything you're going to do. But it's another thing to actually implement those things and do them effectively. So there is a few things that I would highlight here. So firstly, you just got to actually do the thing, and hopefully you will have motivation to be doing these things, and you will have created that enjoyment within the process, and you'll be enjoying the whole journey. But realistically, you're not going to be enjoying every aspect, and motivation is something that does come and go. And so firstly, you do just have to action these things. You just got to do them. And I think a good frame here is to just remind yourself that you have highlighted that these things are important to you, but nothing is going to change if you don't actually do these things. You're not going to get anywhere or make any improvements or developments in your life if you don't do these things. So if you ever feel like you're procrastinating a little bit, or if you're just being lazy or putting off doing these things, try to remind yourself of that and just take action and actually do what you said you're gonna. Hopefully you will take action, but even then, it's one thing to actually be going through the motions and doing these things, but it's another thing to really be focusing on all of these things and doing them to the highest level and doing them effectively and being as productive and getting as much done as you can. So focus is a massive key aspect to this stage as well. And I think an important thing to realize here is that single tasking within all of these things is so important. I think there's a study that shows that it takes something like 23 minutes to fully regain focus if you're trying to do multitasks. So within everything that you're doing, I would highly recommend sticking to just one thing and doing that thing as effectively and as well as you can. If you do that, then I think you will be getting a lot more done within all of those things and progressing quicker and further in that way. I think another thing here is that it is all about eliminating distractions, and it is just focusing on this single task. So another recommendation would be try to eliminate as many distractions as you can. If it is you're trying to do an hour of real deep work at a desk, I think don't include your phone within the room. You don't need social media, or you don't need to be checking the news every second or speaking to whoever it is. So just remove that distraction. And within whatever it is that you're trying to do, just try to make it as easy for yourself. Try to create that environment that is going to be completely conducive to doing those things that you want to do. And then a final tip in relation to this actually implementation of all of the things that you're wanting to do, I would say to make sure that you actually utilize every single minute that you put within your calendar. And what I mean here is that so often I think we have those random 7 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes here, and we just don't think it's actually achievable to do anything that we want to do. And that's often the time, maybe it is go to social media or just do something that is completely unproductive. So going back, say you're trying to do that 1 hour of deep work, and maybe you actually have done pretty well within that hour, and after about 55 minutes, you've achieved pretty much everything that you thought you wanted to achieve within that time block. Instead of just being like, all right, I've done everything I wanted to do, and I'm now gonna scroll on social media for 5 to 10 minutes, still use that 5 to 10 minutes to just do something productive, whether it's something further in relation to that task you were doing, or at least try to use that time to do something that is gonna at least make your life a little bit easier. Maybe it's you clear 5 minutes of rubbishy admin emails, but just really utilize every minute, because it is so important that we are implementing everything that we said we were going to do effectively and using that time as well as we can. If you do that, you will just then be achieving so much more within all of this, and you will be seeing how suddenly you are just doing so much more than you ever thought was capable. So do the thing, focus on the thing, and try to utilize every minute within your time blocking calendar. If you do those things, then you can effectively implement everything that you want to do, and you will see all the growth and achievement of all of your goals. Once you've done that, that is step 2 complete, and you move on to step 3, which is just about reviewing your time blocking calendar and your process. And this might feel again like a bit tedious and it's like another thing to do, but this is actually not a big deal because yes, I think the original setting up of your time blocking calendar, that does take a little bit of time and a little bit of thought. But once you've got it set up, it will generally just be operating itself, and week to week, I don't think you need to make many changes to that whole calendar. But it is important to review it, and so for me, I review it on a weekly basis. Some people might not think that they need to as often as that, maybe bi-weekly or monthly, but I do like to review it every single week. And I just review it for about 10 minutes because as I said, generally things are gonna be staying the same. But just by reviewing it, it gives me that chance to actually really think how things are going, how effectively my time blocking calendar is working to achieve the things that I want to do. And I can then just make little tweaks from there. Or it could even be something like, oh, I've suddenly realized I didn't really see my family anywhere near as much as I wanted in that previous week. So next week, I'm gonna put in a couple of hours to 100% see my family. And you can just make little changes around that. After say a few months of having your time blocking calendar, then maybe you will make some more substantial changes. Because after that sort of period of time, you will really be seeing whether you are working towards achieving your goals or whether some things do need to change, or maybe even just your priorities within life are going to change, and then you can make some more substantive changes. But week on week, reviewing the time blocking calendar is not going to be a big deal, and it will just be more about making little tweaks for the following week to come if you're reviewing on a weekly basis. But it is important to do because it does just give you that time to review everything and just see whether any changes need to be made. Okay, so that is my system to get everything done that I want to. And I'll admit, this might not seem like some groundbreaking system, but I promise you, it has just massively helped me to be able to do all of the things that I want to. And I think I do now do quite a lot, but I just am able to do those things with relative ease, and I'm still enjoying and happy with life and happy doing all these things. And it is helping me work towards all of my goals. I hope you found some of this useful. If you did, it would be great if you checked out my previous video here. It would be even better if you did subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.